author and researcher Dr. Jeff Khumalo has dedicated his work to studying gender-based violence and femicide. In one of his recent studies, he says he uncovered troubling patterns that remain consistent across many communities. Among the most alarming findings is that verbal, sexual, emotional, physical, and financial abuse continue to dominate women's experiences, particularly affecting young women between the ages of 15 and 35. Dr. Khumalo joins us now for more on this. Dr. Jeff, thank you so much for your time this hour. So maybe let's start here. In your research, you found that different forms of abuse, verbal, sexual, emotional, physical, and financial, are consistently present across communities. What do these overlapping patterns tell us about the root causes of GBV, particularly in our society?
Good morning. I want to firstly appreciate the moment to share my insights and my experiences, my research with the people at home. I also want to greet everyone. I find it very much fascinating, how we live in the society where we don't know what are our problems, or perhaps we can see the manifestations of the problems that we experience within our communities, in our society, in our houses, in our families, but we don't dare to try and find out what is the cause. So shortly, I can say that most people don't know that it's not easy for a person to abuse another person unless you give them the reason to abuse them or to abuse you. You may find the statement to be very much alarming because there's no reason that will make someone, or it's accepted, to say this is a reason to which cause or led me into abusing you or abusing other people. But there are patterns, as I already said, and there are causes. One of the most serious causes of abuse, all types of abuse that we have already mentioned, verbal, sexual, physical, emotional, mostly is because young women today, especially those who I interviewed, I asked them a simple question: what kind of a man are you looking for? What kind of a partner are you looking for? They will say, I want a guy who is hot, driving, expensive car. I'm looking for a man who can take care of me. I'm looking for a man who can, who can give me what I want, everything that I need. There's no need for me to build a relationship with a person who can't, take care of me. Okay, fair enough. But my question is, why don't you think of what you can do for yourself before you can think of what a man can do for you? Because you are not having a full guarantee of how long you'll be with that man. What I know is that once a man think you are depending on them financially, particularly, they know that they'll use money to control you. So young women between 15 years old to 35 years old, most of them, they invest in their beauty in order to make sure that they must get the type of male or man who they are thinking they are their best candidate. Most women who are stuck in a relationship, most of them, they don't want to be in that relationship in the first place, but they find themselves living in that relationship because they don't have another alternative to survive, to take care of themselves. To me, this is what I call dependency syndrome. To me, it's a hazard to the society. I'm choosing the word hazard by purpose because the word hazard, it shows what would happen in the future. and what will happen in a particular future, it's not something that is going to be good. It's going to be a catastrophe.
Yeah, and I need to come in there as well, Doc, as you continue to give us some of those findings there. I went straight to some of your findings, in fact, in this particular research. And I was quite interested in what you said, that the woman, the 15 to 35 age cohort is more likely to invest in their looks as well. And you said that they're also likely to go for partners that are well established as opposed to building from the ground up, which on some instances, unfortunately so, may put them at the mercy of these men. So according to your research and your findings and what you've found around this, what do you think places this particular age cohort at such a disproportionate vulnerability as well, when you look at the research?
It's because they believe in themselves. They believe in the temporal appearance of their physique, which is very temporal. When you look at the age of 15, it's where a teenager is, just moved from being a teenager into a youth. And they are investing much to remain in that state as far as their physique is concerned. So they are still at the age whereby they are very much usable to the perpetrators, because I call them perpetrators, because they are not coming with good intentions. They know very well that, they want to abuse these young people, or they want to abuse these children, or these young children, or these young girls. The reason is happening between these two ages that I've mentioned, between the 15 and 35. Their interests start at 15, even when they are not directly involved at 15. What I find out is that they admire those who, a young girl who's 15, very likely to be going to the same school with a young girl who's 16, 17, and 18. Immediately after, when the 17th or 18th young lady is in a relationship with someone who's driving, a Lamborghini, I'm giving an example, who buys her an iPhone, 16, Pro or Ultra, whatever model of the phone, they admire their friends. And at 15 already, she's being mentored and prepared to become, a victim, because she's already attracted to the materialism without even knowing where it shall come from. She's already interested. And that is the age, is an entry age, I realized, or I found out. Then from 17, 18, they move from one, businessman to another, move from one politician to another, and they are being exchanged. And the bad thing about this is that even these people who are the perpetrators, they do talk about these girls. When they have done what they've done, they also talk to others that, there's another one in this particular area, because you'll find that they are rotating around them. It's a kind of, slavery of some sort, sex slaves, but it's done in a very professional way, because there's a consent and there's a transaction, there's an exchange of, materials and finances and good life or soft life, as they say. So the only thing that child will grow knowing is to make sure that she remain thin, she remain in good figure, she takes care of her skin texture, she put on nice clothes which will reveal her body, so that she can become a very good candidate.
Yeah, and as you mentioned that, what you're saying now points to somewhat of a greater societal problem that we're experiencing in modern day South Africa, which is not a problem also that is not necessarily unique or new per se. But now my main concern now shifts to saying, if you would say that these young women are in these relationships for financial gain or whatever benefit, then the shift would have to now also be on us as males to say that these young women are not in relationships alone. They're not in relationships by themselves. And that would subsequently point for now a need to have conversations around who raises these young men, who date these women.
Are you talking about a dialogue or a direct, focus, or shifting the focus to the main person who is participating in this relationship? That's what you're saying.
Somewhat of having a collective dialogue where we're all able to come together to sort of like find some sort of a common ground around navigating such complex societal issues.
Good one. What I also know, if I can tell you, this thing is not done in public directly. It's an underground world. It's a dark world, because most of them are married people. Most of them are public figures. Most of them are people who are, appearing to the society as leaders. Most of them are people who are supposed to be building the society. So a dialogue, this is the only way to expose this. This is the only way, not the only way so far. Let me say, maybe this is an introduction to say this thing is existing. It's there and it's taking place. Even before I can come to the solution, but I'm just responding to your question that yes, a direct dialogue, it's high time that as men, I'm not saying this as a blame shift, I'm not shifting a blame to these victims. I call them victims because one's supposed to be responsible at the end of the day. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to say is, this is how it's happening. I believe we should involve all stakeholders. Parents should be involved. Policymakers should be involved. Community activists should be involved. And in this manner, let us bring a kind of training, a kind of, consciousness to our young people. They need to be taught to believe in themselves. They need to be given an opportunity. That's another thing. They need to be given an opportunity or an alternative to invest in their future, not only educational only, but also create an environment whereby, it's easier for young women to be able to access, any needed material that will help them to better their lives. But a dialogue is very important. That's why I'm speaking as a man. It's not a woman who's been abused who's talking about this. It's not a woman who have experienced it. But this is something that, it's really hurting me because I have a girl child, and also I believe that we should protect young women. And we cannot protect them only by speaking, but we must protect by taking a step into including them into mentorship, giving them opportunities that are equal to opportunities that are given to young women.
Yeah, and like you mentioned there, it's going to be a collective effort for all of us to come in and protect our women. And I say this also just skimming through the last part of your research as well, where in some of your findings you speak about redefining success. I've just taken this from the point that you've made now and making sure that we mentor our young women, and also where you speak about a path forward, you speak about access to education as well, and also committing to a future where young people are supported to discover and develop their talents. And also this speaks to a greater need for all of us to also lay a hand there. Let's hear about the societal aspect that comes in now, and just what factors do culture, poverty or unemployment contribute to the persistence of this problem that we see?
It's like you said, it's a collective issue, and it will take a collective effort. It's a serious hazard. Our society is going straight to the dish We'll wake up in the morning, we'll not have leaders tomorrow. We'll wake up tomorrow, we'll not have mothers, we'll not have fathers, we'll not have leaders, we'll not have, because our future is on our youth. Our future, the future of the new generation depends on youth. So if we don't make sure that we redefine success by teaching and instilling the mentality of believing that, success is not based on the type of a car that you're driving, the type of a house that you are living in, the type of the clothes, the design clothes that you are dressing or you are wearing. Success, it's the freedom to be able to navigate future without being afraid to be abused, to navigate future without being afraid to fail and start again. Success should be redefined in the form of empowering, investing in my, I've said something. I said, no one can be a champion of all generations. It's impossible. You may look very beautiful today and very attractive. The problem is you shall never be a beauty queen of all generations or for all generations. So there will be a time where you will expire. So what will happen to your life? So in other words, I'm trying to say that, success should be redefined in a way that we are able to develop, people should develop their mind into learning life skills. People must develop their mind and direct their mind into a success which will come through knowledge. Knowledge is powerful. Wisdom is powerful. I'm not going to speak about, academic achievement only, because there are a lot of people who will tell you that, I decided to go to, social media and make content with my naked body, not because I didn't go to school. I have a master's degree, I have an honors degree and all that. But, those degrees, they don't give me jobs. So that's true. It's not, those are pure, truthful statements. But I'm trying to say that success is not only, what you do what you do consistently, what you do every day, it shall build your future. Every aspect of your life is directed by every action you take from morning when you wake up, you brush your teeth, until the end of the day when the sun sets. What you do, it will develop your future.
Dr. Jeff Khumalo also there has just to add also that, GBV is not also just a woman's problem, but also a human problem in its essence. Thank you so much for your time. Dr. Jeff Khumalo joined us there to unpack the research that he's done around the patterns of GBV in our communities. Thank you ever so much for your analysis on the program.